Hello and welcome back to part 3 of my deck decluttering series. One more part after this, and then maybe I'll go through the decks that I might give away or I might keep. I haven't decided yet. I apologize if this video is slightly grainy because I don't like using artificial light if I don't have to, and it is a bit overcast outside, but it is like the quintessential scrumptious fall day. I love it. So with that said, I'm just going to get right into it. We're going to start with these Lenormand decks. I have 2 Lenormand decks that I use that I really love. One is the Green Glyphs, and the other is the Pixies Lenormand. So this one I purchased when I was first starting out. Lenormand, I think that's how it's said. And it has the keywords on it. Because with Lenormand, if you're not familiar, you read them in pairs. So if this would be like, let's say the tower, one of the keywords is isolation, and garden is party, meetings, reunion, crowds, playing. So this could be like isolation from crowds. Like that's how you could read it. And there's a whole bunch of different spreads you can use with Lenormand. I really like the 5-card spreads, with the middle being the present, this being distant past, I'm sorry, recent past, distant past, recent future, or near future, distant future. And you read them in pairs like that, and then you can compare, continue reading in that way. I'm not going into Lenormand lesson right now, but then there's also the Grand Tableau, which is you spread them all out and you read based on certain sectors. So certain cards have certain meanings, like home. If you want to know about your home life, you would find the home card and then read the cards surrounding it in the Grand Tableau. So if you're interested in learning Lenormand, this is a good deck. A deck with keywords is very helpful. This one is by Maruku. I don't know. I found it on Etsy. So if you're interested in it, this is a Lenormand with keywords. And then this is Malpertuis, I don't know, Lenormand, and it is a vintagey looking deck. I wasn't a huge fan of the card stock. That's like the, but I like the way it looked. It's the traditional Lenormand cards. They do have the playing cards on them, so you could tap into tarot utilizing the playing cards if you know how to read in that way. You can use them as straight up oracle cards based on the picture, or you can use them based on the Lenormand meaning. So this would be lilies, this would be dog, this would be cross, this would be child, this would be fish. So stork, they all have different meanings. So the reason I'm getting rid of these is because I have a basic understanding of Lenormand now, and I don't use these at all. And I'm getting rid of these just because I got them. I'm not a huge fan of the card stock, and I have 2 decks that I use regularly, and I don't need any more. So that is why these guys are leaving my collection. But I do think if you're interested in it, keywords, I'm not the biggest fan for keywords with tarot, but keywords for Lenormand I think can be really helpful because it's very different from reading tarot. I suppose you could use it in the same way, but that sort of defeats the purpose. Lenormand is good for predicting, fortune telling, etc. So let's see. What is next? I don't know. You'll see. Anyway, moving on. All right, Dame Darcy. I want to start by saying I love this deck. I love this deck. I loved this deck. I loved reading with this deck. I loved everything about this deck. And then I found out there was some controversy surrounding this deck. I mean, look at this. It's a great deck. This tarot deck's illustrations are strikingly similar to the tarot of the Mermaids by Los Scarabeo, which was out before the Dame Darcy deck, and she seems to have taken great liberties with some of these cards. And it's a real shame because I adore this deck. Let me see if I can find the ones that I know for certain are pretty much ripped right off of the Los Scarabeo deck. Now, this might not bother some people. It bothers me because as somebody who does art and has been in the art world, there's one thing to have inspiration from an artist or a deck, and it's another to just redraw it and rebrand and repackage the deck. I love the card quality, absolutely beautiful, a rose petal finish. They're pretty intuitive to read with. There is a wonderful charm to these illustrations. I believe this is one that was taken from that deck. I think this one, I don't know. I only saw a few because someone had done reviews. If you go to Benabel Wen's website, she has a review on this deck and then an update when she found out the same thing. It might not bother some people that they were taken directly from the other deck, but I just can't. I can't justify it in my head, because if it wasn't for that, this deck would not be leaving my possession. I just cannot have it knowing that, because I thought this was a completely original deck, and it turns out it was not necessarily. So there was also one of the cards in here, which is one of my favorites. I found out later on, I saw the photograph that it was taken from. So it's the imagery is a bit ripped off. I mean, yes, there are some little teeny minor tweaks here and there for the cards. But in reality, this is the Los Scarabeo deck, just hand drawn. So that is why I saw the photograph this was taken from, the picture this was taken from. But that's why I am getting rid of this deck, if it doesn't bother you. If it doesn't bother you, this is a wonderful deck. I love this deck. I have had so many compliments on this deck. I have had so many people ask which deck it is because they want it. So if you're not bothered by the fact that she may have taken extreme liberties utilizing the Los Scarabeo Tarot of Mermaids deck, have at it. Get this deck. It's wonderful. But if you do have issues with it, I would stay away from this deck because it is a bit of a copy. So next up is the Ashley Cook Tarot. And this is actually signed by Ashley Cook. This was made in Scotland in 2018. And I have never used this deck. I looked through it once and just didn't really connect with it. It's a really nice card stock. These are cards that are going to wear pretty well, depending on how you use them, of course, like any card. They're super colorful. They may be slightly busy for some people, but I can appreciate a busy card, especially if there's symbolism in it. If there's a lot of symbolism in it. And this has a decent amount of symbolism, but it might be difficult to decipher it through the busy nature of the card. It's an RWS deck, stays very true to it. It's quirky, it's fun, and it's definitely worth being in someone's collection for sure. I can see a lot of people using this deck. It's a great deck. It's just, I could not connect to it. And I don't know what it was, because this is totally like my style of art. Like when I draw, when I create in Photoshop, like I am a super busy kind of creator. There's a lot going on in my head and it expresses itself on the paper. So it was really surprising to me that I didn't connect with this. And I really hope someone does, because I think this would be something so wonderful to read with. I don't even think I did a reading with these cards. I just looked through it and I put it to the side, and I love this Hierophant, and I never really used it, unfortunately, which is a shame because this is a deck that wants to be used, obviously. I mean, all decks want to be used, but I think this would be such a fun deck to do readings for people with. I just can't connect to it. I can't. I don't know what it is. I just don't. But if any of you are thinking about getting this deck and you really are drawn to it, and that's the thing, I don't think I was necessarily very drawn to it. I just wanted a new deck, and it was different and it was quirky and it was fun. And I was like, I'm going to get that one, which I don't do those things anymore when purchasing my decks. But I would say if you are really drawn to it online and it's one you kind of keep coming back to and kind of keep thinking about, it might be worth getting it. I don't even know if it's still for sale anymore. It could be out of print at this point. I'm not sure. But if it is still in print or you want to buy an older copy of it and you're really connected to it, definitely get it, because I would love to see somebody work with this deck who is connected to it, because I think it would be something that's really inspiring to read with. So again, that is the Ashley Cook Tarot. This is the Modern Way Tarot, and it's another deck where I cannot find the book, but it's a Rider-Waite-Smith clone, just silhouetted and simplified. So you can use any Rider-Waite-Smith book to read with this deck. It does have a little bit of a glossy finish, but it's not like super ridiculously glossy. I have used this deck a little bit. All the edges look great, but there are a few, you can't really see it unless you're kind of having them at an angle. There's just a little few bumps in the cards themselves, but it's in pretty good condition, and I've used these quite a bit. Nice sturdy cards. Great cardstock. But it's in pretty good condition, and it's had a lot of use compared to some of my decks, which I never really, like the Ashley Cook deck, which I just looked through it and it just sat there. Let's see if you can see this. I just saw, trying to find, it's kind of hard. So there's like slight dents just from like my like rings knocking it when I would read with rings, but it's not bad at all. Super simple color scheme that pretty much stays consistent throughout the whole deck. Just a nice little Rider-Waite-Smith clone. I don't use it anymore just because I have other decks that I prefer to use over this one. But when my collection was smaller, this was one that I definitely read with quite often. And again, if you understand the Rider-Waite-Smith, this is going to be so simple to read with, even though the symbolism is silhouetted out. You still get all the major components of the card in the silhouetted, simplified version. So, and that is why I'm getting rid of it, for no other reason than that. And this was the Modern Way Tarot by J. Bindels and N. Fernando. Next is the Dancing in the Dark Tarot. I believe this is a Lo Scarabeo deck. The cards are not the best quality at all. And it's kind of surprising because most of the Lo Scarabeo decks I have are decent quality. These are not my favorite quality cards by them. I'm letting it go simply because I'm not really a fan of the cards, to be perfectly honest. But again, just because they don't resonate with me, it doesn't mean that they won't resonate with someone else, or somebody else won't like them. I don't know what I was thinking. I saw them online and I thought they were a little interesting, and I guess they are. But there's just a bit of a disconnect with me, and these very well may be somebody else's jam, and I hope that they are, because they are kind of cool. And I think part of what bothers me too, it's this border. It doesn't really go with the card. You could probably trim them down, and I think that they would look a lot better. So if the border bothers you, you could definitely modify it. And it would probably be a little bit better looking. That's Andrew McCarthy. That's Andrew McCarthy. There's an actor named Andrew McCarthy, and I believe that's him. That was really random. Are these like actors that they used for the people? That's so strange. Huh. Obviously, clearly, I did not look closely enough at this deck. But I mean, it's fine, you know, if it's your thing. Not my thing. So that's why it is leaving my collection. But it's, stays true to the Rider-Waite Smith. Just different visuals, different imagery, same basic concepts. Yeah, so I'm going to stop talking about that because I really don't have anything. I don't have anything to say about it. So that is the Dancing in the Dark Tarot, which I can put that in, and Dancing in the Dark Tarot, and that's why it's leaving my collection. So, all right. So this is the Tarot de El Dios de los Tres, and another one like this deck is, it's so fun. Another deck where I do not have the instruction book. These are cards that are going to be great for small hands. They are a thinner cardstock, but they're not like too thin. Like they have a little bit more substance to it than the deck I said before. The Dancing in the Dark Tarot. Oh my goodness. These are bright. They are colorful. They're in English as well as Espanol. I love these cards, but I just haven't really used them, and I probably won't. So I am letting them go, but it's a super fun deck. It is a super fun, weird, quirky kind of deck. And I think if you're into super fun, weird, quirky kind of decks, this is going to be a great deck for you. And I was thinking about just taking them and framing them and hanging them like on the wall as like a piece of art. But I'm doing that with a different deck. So that I resonated with a little bit more. But I love this. I love this. It's so great. I just don't use it. And if I'm not using it, it has to leave my house. That's a really fun strength card. So if this is one you're considering, I hope this might help you know if you want to get it a little bit more. I wish, they would talk more about cardstock and the type of deck it is when you buy them. I have found that sometimes I get it and I'm like, this isn't what I was expecting. And if you are not, if you're a little bit on the more modest side, this probably will not be the deck for you either at all. So, it's so fun though. I wish I liked it because it really is. It's just colorful and vibrant and lovely and uplifting and upbeat in a really weird, quirky kind of way. But if I don't use it, I can't keep it. That's what I'm trying to tell myself. So this is the Tarot de El Dios de los Tres. All right, this is the Cosmic Coven deck. Another one that I purchased because it was very colorful. It was very pretty. Nice sturdy cards, linen finish. I think I maybe used it once or twice, if that. It's just another one I don't know what it was. I just didn't click with it. Online, I saw it and it looked really good. And maybe I didn't see, all of the images. What I do now, if I'm buying a deck online, is I try to find all of the images in the deck first to see if I'm going to resonate with the whole deck or if it's only like a few cards that I'm resonating with. And if you have a local shop, metaphysical shop near you that has cards that are open that you can riffle through, I would highly recommend doing that because, or, look through because sometimes seeing the cards in person, you get a different feel for them than you do just seeing pictures online. So, I mean, it's really vibrant. I love the concept of it. I just didn't jive with it because I think I have other decks that I'm using over this. And again, this is a more simplified version of the Rider-Waite-Smith. And I like decks that are a bit more rich in symbolism. And not that there's anything wrong with this. This would be a great deck if you want to read the tarot more intuitively. I mean, we should all be reading in tarot intuitively, right? And trusting our intuition. But, I think when you just have the picture, you can kind of create a story and get yourself outside of the system of tarot a little bit more. But I have other decks I do that with. I don't use it on these type of decks. I don't do that on these type of decks, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, this is the Cosmic Coven. I love that there's the dark sky and the stars. I like the backgrounds in there. I like the use of the rainbows throughout the deck, which is kind of nice because that gives you a connection between the cards. How can, like, if you got these two cards together, right? They both have rainbows coming off the top. So does that mean there's a connection to higher consciousness, right? If you're using these two cards. The Ace of Swords, you're invoking new ideas. You've had a breakthrough, and the Knight of Cups is allowing you to sort of take action, or is allowing you to take action on that breakthrough to find your fulfillment to that higher source. So that's how you can kind of like read those rainbows throughout the deck. Like it ties in the cards nicely, or it can tie in the cards nicely. So that is the Cosmic Coven Tarot, and that is why it is leaving my house, just because another one that's perfectly nice and great, I'm just not getting used. The Earth Magic Oracle deck by Stephen D. Farmer was one of my very first Oracle decks that I ever owned. And it comes with a nice little book, which I do still have. And decent cardstock. They are on the glossier side. Served me very, very well in the beginning when I was reading with Oracle only. And I'm just not as drawn to it anymore. Great intuitive reads. The art is really lovely. You can go by this, you can go by the keyword, you can go by the illustration, you can go by all three and what that means to you. So it really is a great intuitive deck. And I absolutely loved working with it. But again, my personal practice has kind of shifted since I was using this deck. And this doesn't really fit in with what I do anymore. But it served as an absolutely wonderful beginning deck for me and really helped me to start learning to read sequentially, learning to tie cards together. I used this when I was learning how to read for other people as well. I was practicing, reading in spread format before I moved on to tarot. So it was almost like a little bit of a transition deck for me, which I liked. Not that this has anything to do with tarot, but learning how to read in tarot format with spreads. So great deck. I do highly recommend this, especially if you're a beginner and you're wanting to really like start to dip your toes in the world of Oracle and Tarot. I recommend this deck for you. All right, Beginner's Guide to Tarot by Juliet Sharman Burke. Another one I love, but again, I have so many Rider-Waite-Smith decks. I don't need them all. Can't find the book. Of course, I can't find the book, but I think you should be able to utilize any Rider-Waite-Smith book and be able to read with these. Comes with a spread. I believe it's a Celtic cross layout. I'm not going to open that right now, but I'll show you a few of the cards. Really pretty artwork. I think it's a really lovely version of the Rider-Waite-Smith. Though I do like this version of the Lovers. This is different than the Rider-Waite-Smith. This is more akin to the Marseille. The Chariot, the Eight of Swords. This is when I used to read with reversals. I don't read with reversals anymore. King of Pentacles, the Star, King of Swords, Temperance. See, now I'm looking at it and I'm like, maybe I should keep this. This is the problem. I actually kind of like this. Ace of Swords, Ten of Wands, the World, Queen of Wands. Actually, maybe if I modified it. Don't need to keep it. I'm never going to use it, right? Right? Oh, he's cute. So it's a great deck. Now that I'm looking at it, I wonder if I modify it, if I'd like it better. I do like it. Okay, so now that I'm looking at it, maybe this is going to go in the maybe box. This is going to go in the maybe box, I think. I don't know. I do kind of like it. All right, we'll see. This might go in the maybe box, but if you're looking at the Beginner's Guide to Tarot, it's a great deck. And obviously I like it enough that I'm considering keeping it even though I don't use it. So I am going to put this in the maybe box, and then I'll go from there and see if it's really going to be a keep or not. Okay, so this is the Portals Oracle, Open Portals playing cards, and I just didn't get it. I didn't jive with it. I don't know if it's like a game. It has something to do with the portals. I just didn't take the time to really learn enough about it, because then there's a little book on like how to do it. I just didn't take the time to learn about it. The couple of times I did use them, I used them as oracle cards, but I think this would be more akin to using the playing cards for cartomancy as opposed to using them as a proper oracle or tarot deck. Because you can read tarot with playing cards. Four of Hearts, it's Four of Cups. Yeah, that would be Two of Cups, Portal of Fire for the inner being. Yeah, see, I just didn't click with it. And like, I didn't have time to learn a new system because I study tarot. And so I don't really want to necessarily learn a new system of reading. But I think if you're somebody who likes to read intuitively, or who can like really connect with the portal meanings, like portal for the living, portal for patterns, portal for the desert. Like if you're somebody who likes that, like this is going to be a great deck. If you're somebody who likes reading with playing cards, this might be a really great deck for you. I just didn't connect with it at all. And I don't want to learn a new system, and I'm spending most of my time learning and reading tarot anyway. So this is the Open Portals playing cards, and that is why I am getting rid of it. Last but not least, we have Crystals, the Stone deck. I collect crystals, but I do not work with crystals. I don't use them for healing. That's not what I like crystals for. I like crystals because they're like little pieces of art from the earth. Like, look at this. This is a Turkish agate. I don't know if you can see. I wish the light was better. But the colors and the banding in this, I wish the light could be on this. First off, there's like little pockets of druzy here, but it's like there's depth and you can see down into it. And it's like this foggy river in there. It's the coolest thing ever. So I like stones. from a geological perspective, not a healing perspective. And I thought these cards would have a little bit of the geological perspective on it. And I thought these would be more oracle based. And I got them because I love stones. But if you're into crystal healing, this is the deck for you. You're going to love this deck. I like it for more of the geological, like scientific explanation of it. So this didn't work for me as much as I was hoping it would. So here it tells you what it is, about the diamond, who needs it, where to put it, when to use it. Same thing, it kind of goes through all of the different stones. So you have azurite, what it is, who needs it, where to put it, when to use it, and then it gives you like little, keywords to help you understand like what it means a little bit more. So if you're somebody who's really into crystal healing, I highly recommend this deck for you, especially if you're somebody who has a little bit of all of these stones. And you could probably like shuffle this deck up and then pull a card and use that stone for the day. God, I love agate. Agate has the coolest patterns, especially if you get agates, like natural agate slices, not dyed agate slices. And also, let me just take this moment to tell you, if you're a stone collector or you are into using crystals and you go to a shop and you see a cluster of crystals that looks like amethyst, but it's orange, it is amethyst. It's just been heat treated. So just be wary. Make sure you really understand what you're getting when you purchase crystals. Make sure that you understand cinnabar has mercury in it. Galena has lead. It is lead. So if you touch galena and then touch your mouth, you're going to get lead in your mouth. So you want to make sure that you know your crystals and your stones. And this isn't going to give you any of that information. So as somebody, if you are somebody who is new to crystal collecting, please do your due diligence and understand what you're buying before you buy it, especially if you have young children or pets in your home. Okay, so I just want to put that little PSA out there. But again, wonderful deck for people who work with crystals and their metaphysical properties. I highly recommend this deck for you. So that is all I have for today. I have one more box of cards to get through and why I'm giving them away. And then after that, maybe I'll do a video on my maybes, and you people out there can help me decide if I should keep it or not. That would be fun. You can vote on which decks I should keep and which I should give away. I like that idea. But anyway, that's enough talking for me for today. See you in the next video. Cheers.